Hello, Facebook and YouTube. How you doing? This is John Canali Correa here with your live real estate talk show. Yes, one more time every Wednesday at noon here, creating a platform for you to answer all your questions about real estate and mortgage and interacting with me every once in a while, asking live questions so that I can not just help you, but others that may be interested in that same situation to know a little bit more about it, of course. But again, every Wednesday at noon, I'm here to facilitate the real estate questions that we all have. And although, there are definitely opportunities where you can go online and browse Google and usually get questions that are more straightforward, more clean, more direct to the point sometimes if you like reading. But also, but this gives you an opportunity to hear from an expert that's on the field all the time. And honestly, I might have a different opinion of what you see it out there. And it's always good to interact with somebody live. This week, I, again, don't have any guests. So no one is coming here to assist us with the presentation. I'm not introducing anyone this week, but hopefully next week, I'm planning to have a surprise for everybody. And I am not going to spoil it yet. I'm not going to spoil that. I'm trying to make it happen. If I make it happen, I did. If I don't, so be it. Okay. But anyway, so I'm going to make today, it's funny that last week we had a pretty short live last week. I got interrupted. Just one of those weeks that, your schedule went pretty short. I had a delivery that I tried to change it, but it had a 5-hour limit window to deliver an equipment here to the house for my wife. And it happened. It showed up here 30 minutes into the podcast or the live. And that's what happened. So I'm sorry, if you like hanging around with me for about an hour, that was disappointing, right? It was only 30 minutes. But then again, for a lot of those people that can't take me all the way to an hour because I'm just so boring like that, they had an opportunity to just, tune in and see that wonderful product. What do you guys think? I haven't heard many comments about it. Investors cash flow. Nobody says anything, man. Facebook, come on, Facebook. Y'all don't, come on, participate. I know you guys were curious. I know one of you guys want to buy a house, or at least somebody called an agent on your local market somewhere and they said, hey, man, I heard this guy on Facebook saying something about investors cash flow. I guarantee you somebody did that. But you're all also welcome to contact me. I laid out the information. I'm more than happy to assist you in answering any of your personal questions on it. It doesn't need to be live. It doesn't need to be in front of everybody. If you want something more private, sure. Like I said, I'm always open here. Send me a PM. I'll share you my cell phone if you already don't have it. Okay. Again, also, I like to stand out and participate. An invitation for you to participate in my live shows. It's been about 3 weeks. I don't have somebody to come over. Honestly, I haven't had people offer themselves to be in the live show. I had to pretty much ask everybody. Okay. So it would be nice if somebody could come all around and say, hey, man, I'll go into your podcast. Let's do something. Actually, no, I do have a friend. Actually, he was here one of my first podcasts. Eric Date. He offered me to do another show about fantasy football. Anybody here a big fan of football? I know football, football, soccer. I know a lot of my friends are, but any of you are fans of football or play fantasy football? I'm not sure, but I want to take that invitation, that suggestion from Eric, and do a fantasy football episode. Okay. And you guys are going to know all about fantasy football. It's a little bit of gambling, but it's so fun. I do it every year. I know that my mentor always tells me that it's a waste of time, and it is. I came to that conclusion on my own, honestly, and he just reminds me of that. but it's so fun. It is so fun. It does take a lot of research, but let's talk about it more once I have Eric here. Maybe I'll bring Angel back too because he's really good at fantasy football as well. We do some mock drafts. It's draft season, guys, draft season. So if you're into fantasy football, you're probably drafting right now, or you're drafting in a couple of days or in a few weeks. 2 weeks the most. I think game starts on the 16th, September 16th, I think, the first game. Don't quote me on that. We'll figure it out. Today is August the 25th, 2021, and I'm going to make this episode quite simple. I got to be honest, I was totally a mess this morning. A lot of calls. My phone didn't stop. I have difficult customers. I've been making calls. I have a couple of commercial deals that I'm working with. It's just been very hard. There's a lot of availability, but a lot of rejection on use. It's funny. I have a commercial client that she has a spiritism group. It's an organization. It's a nonprofit organization, and she does assemblies with her group, and this group has been around for 20 years. I think they follow the book of Allan Kardec, and it's quite impressive, the personality. I love one of the vice presidents. She's amazing. Great person to be around. She reminds me a lot of my mom, the energy and everything else. And I got to say, so she's running a group for over 20 years or so. And it's been incredibly difficult to find a commercial office or retail or flex location that will accept a nonprofit. I ran into that. City of Stafford here in Texas don't want to accept nonprofits, and then in her philanthropy category, it can be construed as a church, because of the assembly and all, but it's nothing religious at all. So use has been difficult for that. Okay. And it's something that I think if you are running a church or a nonprofit organization, you should think, ahead before renting a commercial space. We're finding that it is more productive. It's better suited if this organization is strong and meant to last long term. You'll probably want to purchase your own property. Okay. And that's the conclusion that we're likely getting into. Because it's just been incredibly difficult. I've tried over maybe 40 different properties already, and one panned out pretty good, but then the city, the certificate of occupancy required a amendment for assemblies, cost a whole lot of money. The building wasn't prepared. So basically the landlord accepted an agreement for a use that they couldn't deliver themselves. It's just a mess. I'm still working on that. It's been quite interesting, to be honest with you. But that's not the only one. I just wanted to mention that because I think it's relevant for you guys to know. If you're in the church environment or nonprofit organizations like this one here, depending what kind of use you present yourself as, it may be unacceptable by the landlord. Okay, especially in strip malls and retail locations where there is an anchor that sort of been managed by a company who wants to make sure that the stores that are around that anchor, like a supermarket, a major supermarket, around that anchor are fit the bill. They fit the bill to kind of be there next to that big anchor. Plus, it's pricier too, so you don't want to put your nonprofit organization next to a big anchor. I'll tell you that, because you're going to pay the price for it. But it might be worth it, right? You just never know. But anyway, so I wanted to share something pretty cool with you today. I thought I had done this before, but I didn't. In a few of my episodes, I went over some books. Some books I like to read that I've been entertained. Some I like, some I don't. But this one here is a must. I'm not sure if I showed it to you guys before, but this is This book is written by Hal Elrod. This individual is someone that have survived cancer, and he became a speaker. You can actually hire him as a motivational speaker for your organization. This man wrote the book, The Miracle Morning. The Miracle Morning. And the great thing about it is that he's got one book for each one of the industries that this matters the most. So you have for me, for instance, I have the Miracle Morning for the real estate agent. And there is the Miracle Morning for the writers. There is the Miracle Morning for the millionaires. There's a Miracle Morning for the Salesforce. There's a Miracle Morning for just any person out there that, just that wants to make changes in their lives, and get motivated to do something greater. I had the chance to once see this book writer, and by the way, he's a #1 bestseller on every one of his books. I absolutely love his story, and I've read this a couple of times, and I have here a couple of things that I right in the beginning of the book. You right away can see value. Okay, so here it is. So I'm going to read a couple of things that I wrote here. So know that wherever you are in your life right now is both temporary and exactly where you are supposed to be. You have arrived at this moment to learn what you must learn so you can become the person you need to be to create life, the life you truly want. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people can relate to that. I certainly do. Hang on a second. So I'm just going to give you a couple of things. If you own your mornings, you will own your day. And that's the whole point of Miracle Mornings, okay? This is kind of breaking away into, I broke half of a sentence here. It says, calm while energized, controlled while passionate, and emphatic while intense. That was powerful for me. I thought, so I got to read the whole thing to make more relevant. So let's see here, one more. The #1 thing you have to change in your business, and this is because it's real estate agents, so they may be different for someone else, but the #1 thing you have to change in your business is yourself. Yes. Anyways, guys, one day when I become a little bit more famous, maybe Hal Elrod will come live with me so that I can introduce you to my sphere of influence. Hopefully that day, maybe here soon. We just never know. Or it could take 20 years. I don't know. Maybe I'm an old fart where by the time I'll be able to achieve something like having more of a celebrities here. Not that anybody else that I brought into live wasn't special. I think everyone that I brought in is special, at least special to me. And if they're special to me, I tell you, they will be relevant in your lives. So yeah, tune in on everything that, tune in on all my videos to see my current people the people that I brought in so far. But the Miracle Morning, guys, Miracle Morning, please pick up a copy. You got the hard copy, you got the what do you call it? The voice copy or the audio. They call it audio voice. You see, I don't listen to a lot of audio, so the audio copy, okay, all on Amazon. The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. Okay, check it out, please do. But anyways, talking about, in order to change your business, you must first change yourself. That's quite a statement there. And I believe I have said that previously, not because I read the book, but this does remind me a couple of things, and credits for me, of course, because I've said it to have self-awareness, basically. In order for you to succeed in life, you want to have self-awareness. You need to be able to see yourself in the mirror for who you are and recognize what are the things that you're good at and the things that you're not. You want to make sure that you are true to yourself at all times. And by being true to yourself, being true to other people too, okay? Like, for instance, I highly recommend you to run away from those of people that never recognizes when there are fault. Do not trust this person. If the person can never apologize for a mistake that you know he made, he knows he made, he can never recognize himself as the person at fault, run away from that person, okay? So that's what I'm saying. So in order to change your business or change your life for the better, for one, you want to start getting more Miracle Mornings here. This has changed my life. The way I see myself in each of my mornings, it sets out my entire day for success. And I don't want to sound hypocrite here because sometimes I do fall off the wagon. But mostly important is that I recognize when I do, and I may go in these rocky days where I'm still trying to picking myself up again and bringing me back to reality, setting myself in the right course. That happens to me too. I am human. But the core that I've created was to always be able to identify who you are, what you're about, what can you offer to others that are relevant and has value emotionally, service-wise, whatever it is that you can do to help someone else's life. It starts by planning in your mornings as well. The right amount of meditation, the right amount of action planning that you need for your business, the right amount of focus that you need to obtain in the morning will change the way your business will operate or your life will operate. Okay. So very, 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 very cool stuff, guys. Very cool stuff. All right. So I never thought I could be this deep with anybody, especially on live. Ooh, nice. So anyhow, the Miracle Morning, guys, Miracle Morning. Anyway, so like I was saying, I'm a mess today. I didn't know what to do today. So I'm improvising everything here. But I wanted to say a couple of things that have been already in my heart, and it's already been in my mind, and I've been wanting to lay it out. So I'm going to take this opportunity to kind of like unload stuff that I've been thinking about. Anyway, so the rates have steadily been low. They haven't changed much, although there was a little bit of a hike today. Certainly, there was a little bit of hike today. You see, I quote interest rates to my clients almost every day, so I see it, right? I see when the rates are low, high, it's tough, right? So today was a little low, so there were some of my clients' choice to wait until tomorrow to see if it got better. It could get worse, by the way. If you're watching this, it can get worse tomorrow. Waiting sometimes can hurt you even worse, okay? So it is always a little bit of a gamble, but isn't life a gamble? When you walk outside of the door of your house, it's a gamble. You never know what's waiting for you out there, right? But don't be afraid of it. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Fear is understandable, and you can respect fear. I think I've said it once or twice in the podcast before. I consider fear as an acknowledgement of a potential danger. It's your rationality of a potential danger. So yeah, don't bully somebody that is fearful. Call them names, because of it. Because I will find your fear. Anyways, in this next topic, I want to talk about home repairs. You see, I plan to bring somebody over to a podcast that knows a whole lot about home repairs, a lot more than I do, and I know quite a bit, but this person is very camera shy. Sorry, I have to mention you. I'm not going to give out your name. It's okay. If you're watching this, it's okay. I understand. It took me a little bit for me to get some cojones. Oh, can I say that in here? Oh, Jesus. I'm about to put YouTube for no kids. Sorry. But yeah, a pair of balls. It took me a little bit. It wasn't that easy, but like I said to you before, it took me, a couple of tries to be more and more comfortable as we go, as I went, I guess. But poor English. Oh my God, I have to. Every morning I wake up in the morning and I check my accent. I check if I'm able to pronounce English. Sometimes I don't talk very well. I'm saying sometimes the coffee wasn't strong enough. Yeah, it happens. How do you take your coffee? Is it black with sugar? Do you put milk? One thing, you know what? Just to not get away from the topic here. Those little milk little pouches, those little milk little cups, they're white, and then you pull off the little cellophane or whatever that is, foil paper from the top of it, and you pour that milk inside your coffee. How long do you think that milk has been in there? I wonder. Is this something that people need to worry about and change it because it expires? I mean, all these coffee places that I go to, or even offices, do you think they change those milks often to new ones? And how long can they be stored without being refrigerated? Or I don't know. Isn't it milk? Doesn't milk go bad? I think it does. Guys, stop putting that milk in your coffee, okay? Y'all want energy. You want energy from caffeine, but you don't like coffee. Then you cheat it. You put sugar. You lace it with all this kind of stuff just to cheat the taste. Nothing good as a pure black coffee. I don't know much about teas, but I do enjoy teas, okay? But I just don't like hot teas for some reason. I like cold teas. Let me know here, guys. Let me know if you have any questions for me. It's live. And how do you like your coffee? And if you like tea or not, okay? So far, I don't have anyone here live. Come on, guys. Anybody watching me? No, I don't see it. I'm by myself here, maybe. I'm not sure. But let's see here. Home repairs. Okay, so if you live in a condo, there isn't much you can do in the exterior. You're likely paying a higher monthly HOA dues, and those dues pay for the service of a building manager who hires a maintenance repairman or handyman that either works there full-time, or is hired to as a contractor to come in and do repairs. And then, of course, sometimes they do have to hire third parties for major repairs, right? Even the maintenance guy can't do the plumbing jobs that require licenses and the electrical jobs in that building. So anyway, so you don't have to worry much about the exterior other than keeping an eye on it. You saw what happened in Miami, right? Yeah, when they neglected the building, the managing company and the directors neglected, and see what happened. Yeah, the building falls, right? So, but either way, if you're not part of the board of directors and you're a homeowner in a building, you're paying that HOA dues, and you're hoping that within the budget of the association, they are paying who they are supposed to be paying to maintaining the quality of that building, the conditions of that building. and so forth. Okay. I mean, your involvement is important. So I would definitely recommend you being part of the monthly meetings or the yearly meetings, that you need to be there and ask questions and be a critic to your association in regards to the conditions of the building and how are they spending their money. Very, 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 very important. There's a lot of association directors that really don't know what they're doing. Don't blame them. They volunteered for that job. They don't get paid for it. I think you can't question their heart, because they live in that community. So one can only wonder that they're looking forward to the betterment of the community. But most of the time, they don't know what they're doing. And some of them just wish for power. They feel like if they are in the board of directors seat, somehow their neighbors are going to look at them with a little bit more power, which is ridiculous. Ridiculous. And, but yeah, so board of directors is quite something. Pay attention, participate. I don't recommend you being a director. It is the best way to serve your community. But I say there are other ways for you to do that without you going into politics. Yes. And that can draw some attention to you and your family, and you do not want that. Okay. Anyways, so home repairs are on condos are more interior wise. So anything that I talk about a home itself, I think it applies to the interior of a condo as well, unless your walls are built of concrete, okay, which I don't think they are here in Houston. Maybe in Florida they are. I know South America they are. But anyways, so I'm not going to go into much of details, but I do want to make some recommendations. And the recommendations I wanted to make are that you need to check out online, go online and create for yourself a checklist of items that you need to always keep an eye on. I do recommend that even hiring an inspector to your house, maybe once every 5 years, is recommended. Just because, it's only going to cost you $400 out of pocket, or somewhere in that range, for somebody to actually touch every inch of your home and tell you, give you a full map of what needs to be maintained, and he will give you a checklist. So that could be done. You pay somebody to do it for you. I do have an important call here coming in, and this person, if I don't answer, it's going to be complicated, but I'm not going to, because I don't want to disrespect you. I'm in 30 minutes of the podcast, and I want to finalize with a few things. Okay. So yeah, I got to tell you, create a checklist that you should visit at least once a year. At least once a year, you go through that checklist. Make sure your home is in top shape. Okay. Just like your automobile, your house requires maintenance, sometimes daily maintenance. Yeah, sure. You got seasonal maintenance checklists out there. There are things that you need to be prepared for wintertime, particularly. Summertime, those are the two most critical seasons. The summer, because you want to make sure your AC is working at its best condition possible, or making sure also you service it so it doesn't fail when it's running literally 24 hours a day, because outside temperature is no less than 100 degrees. Yeah, this is my reality here in Houston. Yeah, so yeah, if you're thinking of starting an AC business, come to the hottest city of the South, one of the hottest cities. I can't say. I mean, I think it competes pretty hard with New Mexico, and it competes pretty hard with Florida. And Arizona can get pretty hot too, I guess. But in the South, you get what my point, right? But in the summertime, your AC can go fail. And then, of course, now here, even in Houston, which is quite a surprise for me and for my family, that we never experienced something like that. I've always lived in the tropical weather, so to speak, and never in the cold states. And yeah, this year we had the Texas freeze. A lot of people got flooded from inside out, right? Because their pipes froze and burst, and then water started coming out from everywhere in their houses. Yeah, including a few people that I know that are close to me. And that happened to them. And, you know, insurance claims later, several $100s, $7,000 written after you get your home back. But, you know, you went through a pretty massive situation there. You know what I mean? So, so when purchasing a home, consider what kind of pipes they have. Because even in Houston can now have a freeze. Could you imagine that? It snowed and it froze. It's just absolutely crazy. I couldn't believe it. My kids, of course, they loved it, right? They love seeing snow and such. But and by the way, I have never seen snow in my life until I came to Houston. Yeah, I'm 40 years old, and I never seen snow in my life until I came to Houston. And of course, from Houston, I went to Colorado. And believe me, I traveled. I went to Boston, went to New York, I went to California. But none of those places I ever seen snow. I think it was strategic for me to get there in the summertime, spring, or whatever, right? But anyway, so prepare a checklist for each season, particularly summer and winter. You have high temperatures and low temperatures that you need to worry about. Those two extremes can destroy your home, cause you some painful dollars that you need to spend with fixing an equipment, fixing pipes, and such. So again, when you're considering buying a house, you need to consider what kind of pipes they have. The home is from the 70s, you're likely in the galvanized situation. If the homes are in the copper stage, you're likely in the 80s. And then the PVCs. Now, nowadays, we use PEX. These pipes are less likely to burst and leak, except for the fittings. You still have to take care of your home during freezes, make sure they don't break, but they're less likely. While galvanized and copper can leak at any time. It doesn't matter if you have a leak or not. Believe it or not, galvanized was thought to not rust, but it does. And it rusts from inside out. And then all of a sudden you have this little tiny little hair of water coming out of your pipe. And then last thing you know, your ceilings are falling on top of your head. Yep, I've seen it happen. So, yeah, so whenever you're buying a house, consider those things. You know what I mean? Where are you buying the house? Are you in the north? Are you in the south? Are you in Florida? Are you in Houston? Are you in the East Coast or the West Coast? Certain elements, certain seasons can definitely affect. And if you strategize well enough, you should know then what age of home you want to purchase. Okay, but going back again, create a checklist, and I'll give you a example here. So, and I talk about maintenance not just for things that are broke. Okay, it's a little bit of TLC as well. All right. Look, I have children, right? And I know some of you may have children too. I know some of my friends, neighbors have children, and I know the difference. I know the difference, guys. I know the difference. So, okay, well, a couple of things that happens a whole lot with children. Well, they throw things on the walls. They run their hands on the switches. They put their feet on the walls. They kick the balls on the walls. They kick the walls sometimes. They punch through walls. They punch through doors. And I'm not saying my children, they're not even that strong yet, but I've seen it, right? Sometimes maybe not even the kids, the husband pissed off at that wife, he punch that wall so he didn't punch the wife. Yes. I'm just saying, all right? Okay, so don't be punching your wife. But anyways, continue doing the door. He can always fix the door, not your relationship. I mean, well, some people do. I mean, you should. Listen, if you get punched by your husband or if you get punched by your wife, because that could also happen. I know stories. Well, don't try to fix it. You just run away from that person. Okay. Make sure they get punished by it. But how did I get into this conversation? Jesus, stop. Okay. So for instance, every year during the holidays, this is when I have the least amount of sales going on. You know, it's the holidays. So it's a low season for me. People sell less homes during that time, okay? Or buy for that matter. So I take advantage of that time where I have more time. And what I do is I match the colors of my walls and I touch it up. I touch up the walls, right? But like I said, in a previous podcast that I had, I mentioned how to do that. Okay, so check back on I think it was about selling your home, how to prepare your home for sale. Okay, where I said don't just touch it up because you can hardly ever match the colors, but paint the whole panel. And I do that. I do that every year just so I can trace the dirt that my kids put in my house. Okay, I do that. I don't go painting every week, but once a year I do it, and it minimizes quite a bit, as opposed to a lot of people I know that, my goodness, I mean, they have traces of their kids in that home for the past 5 years, and it's just horrible. Okay, but there's a lot more to it. So there's TLC you got to do. There is repairs that are definitely necessary, especially for insects. Okay, especially for insects. You want to have a pest control checklist for your house. Either you do yourself or you hire a company to get done all the time, particularly with ants and termites, those things that you definitely want them away from your home. Okay. So yeah, doing that regular maintenance, caulking and foams, all these materials they use cover corners, cracks, and holes, they deteriorate, they shrink. So it is a good idea that perhaps at least once a year, the end of the year, whenever you want it, to go over your house and cover those things, maybe even the materials that go around your door. I think they're called the thresholds. Renew that, change it, put a new one so that you don't have any sea leakage through your doors. You know what I mean? Cracked windows. You never know when you have cracked windows, or double pane windows that are lost its seals. You know what I'm saying? Where that vacuum between the two glasses are gone. It may be a good idea for you to have somebody replace it. Okay, because then your house becomes more inefficient. Okay. So maintenance is important, but here I'm going to give you something that maybe you haven't heard yet before. Another alternative it is, and by the way, you need to change filters. I tell you, create your own checklist. Okay, create your own checklist. But however, here in Houston, and I'm not sure how popular this is in other states. Okay, but here in Houston, we have, even in our 1 to 4 residential resale residential contracts, they have a clause that allows a seller to give an allowance to the buyer for home warranty services. Home warranty services, it's a third-party company that acts as an insurance. They have their own contractors. You pay them a premium for non-pre-existing issues, okay? They will protect your home. Okay, so in other words, if you already had a broken AC and then you hire them to fix it, they're not going to fix it under that. So it's basically like an insurance, a health insurance or homeowners insurance, some in that area. But it gives you warranty for parts and labor for appliances, and particularly your AC equipment. If you own a home in hot states, or if you or even if you own a home in the winter, you have either the AC equipment or your furnace to worry about. So these home warranty companies, what they do is once you place a claim, they send a contractor that is specialized in that particular area to come assess the issue, fix it on the spot, or come back later with another part. And it does it at a discounted price or sometimes just for that copay. So it's important also for any time choosing a home warranty company for you to educating yourself in exactly what kind of coverage they're going to be giving you. Each one of these companies have different coverages. Some of them are better than others, but it's a very useful tool here in Houston, in Texas particularly, when purchasing a home, because it is sort of like a good faith from seller to buyer to indicate to them that, the home, everything should be functional, but if it doesn't, I'm already going to give you at least a year peace of mind. I'm going to give you an allowance for home warranty service where if anything fails in the next year, because usually by year premiums, right? In the next year or so, if anything fails, you only got to pay a copay. Copays range from $60 to $70. So while you can call them to fix your toilet seat, I don't recommend it because your toilet seat probably costs less than the copay. And that's where the copay comes in, right? But if you're going to have a $300 repair job in your AC system or your water heater, I forgot to mention that, your water heater, all right, which you have to also monitor all the time. You have a $300 or $600 job to repair those appliances. Well, you only pay a copay. But you got to check with each one of these home warranty companies because sometimes they cover certain parts but don't cover others and end up making it that copay a little bit higher. Okay, so I'm going to give you here my top 3 choices of home warranties. These are the home warranty companies that I've been recommending for some time. Of course, I must say here that I have absolutely no relationship with any of these companies. They do not pay me any fees whatsoever for saying them. They have not hired me to tell you that you should buy them, but these are my top 3 home warranty services, okay? Number 1 is First American Home Warranty. Yes. Number 2, Old Republic. And number 3, Fidelity National Home Warranty. Check them out. First American Home Warranty, Old Republic Home Warranty, and Fidelity National Home Warranty. Some of them would even include in their services a certain amount of square footage that they will do carpet cleaning in case there is a large spill in your house. It's just in that one section of the carpet, and all you do is pay a copay to send somebody over to remove that stain for you, or you need your keys, your locks rekeyed. They have services like that, but they're really there to cover you when you have those big expenses come up. Except for, of course, if your roof is damaged, they don't cover that. If your structure is damaged, they don't cover that. If your foundation is a crack and you're having major issues with that, they don't cover those things. Mostly plumbing, electrical, and appliances that they are there for. But believe me, just the AC alone can cost you sometimes $3,000 to replace. Well, if they can't repair it, they will use the repair money towards the new equipment. Therefore, you get a discount on purchasing new equipment. So, yeah, check them out. Google it. First American Home Warranty, Old Republic, or Fidelity National Home Warranties are those that I recommend. And I have another recommendation for you, too. If you are a landlord and you are leasing a home and you're managing that property yourself, okay, you have tenants there, obviously. Well, it might be wise for you to also carry a home warranty in that. And what we do is we implement, uh, Dr. Abdullah, I'll give you a call in just a little bit, okay? I'm on a meeting right now. I'll call you right back. Thank you, sir. Bye-bye. So anyways, I recommend you having a home warranty service in which you can actually give your tenants the number of the home warranty company. And anytime they have a claim, to call directly the home warranty company and place the claims. And how we do it, and I recommend that to my landlords, is that on the lease agreement, you say tenants are responsible for the copay for any claims made. Okay, so if they have something to repair in that house that is not landlord's responsibility, okay, it is not something that the landlord is responsible. It's caused by the landlord to be wear and tear, right? Yeah, place those claims. You know, tenants can call directly. Therefore, it saves you a phone call in the middle of the night. It saves you a phone call on the weekend when you can't do much to help that tenant. These companies are open 24/7. They would take your calls and claims. They may not attend it right in the same minute, but the next day or the next, somebody should be knocking in your home. Of course, it's all about the availability of the contractors at any given time, right? But most of these companies that I've just recommended, they seem to have had, my clients seem to have had good responses, good experiences with all of them. But either way, I also have a couple of questions here to end the show. I'm going to take this last 10 minutes of the hour to answer a couple of Q&As here that I wrote it for you. And these are one of the most common questions that I see it out there. How many homes should I view before buying one? I find it to be a really interesting question because I do get that all the time. And I gotta tell you, it doesn't really matter how many homes you've seen before you buy it, as long as you know you found the one. Does that make sense? So to me, it doesn't matter. I've had clients that purchased the very first home they saw. They hired me to see homes. I sent them a list. She saw a list of homes and online, and I scheduled the appointments, and we go ahead and meet at the first property. And in that first property, she says, "This is the one, and I want to buy this one. I want to go ahead and buy the house, this one in particular." So yeah, to me, it doesn't matter, of course, but I do have clients that sometimes you need to give them advice to say, hey, look, maybe we need to see a few more just so we can narrow it down to the really nice one, because there's some confusion sometimes. There are homes that are very similar to one another, and then this is when I come in and I can lay out the pros and cons. Maybe you're not seeing them, then I lay out the pros and cons. But yeah, I mean, I had clients that took only one home for them to decide to buy it. And I have clients that no, they feel like they have to spend enough time looking at homes. Of course, they missed out on buying all the other ones she left behind. And believe me, it happened where, oh, you know what, remember that one that I saw? I really couldn't find anything better than that one. Let's go back to it. Oh, gone. It's been sold. So how many homes should I view before buying one? It doesn't really matter, as long as you found it in your heart and you think it is the right home for you and your family. Just jump on it. Don't hesitate. Okay. Don't hesitate. Okay. All right. If any questions can come in on that, I'd be more than happy to answer here for everybody to hear. Okay. Or private. If you want to call me later. Thanks, brother. I know you gave me a tip over here. I got a tip from a friend to get off the microphone, and I was maybe too close to it, and this may be blowing up the sound in some speakers. But if this distance here is better, I will definitely try. I appreciate it. Thank you so much, buddy. Anyways, why? Here's the next question. Why is my home's assessed value different from the market value? That is a question I get all the time, and I'll put my money on that most realtors come across this question at least once. Put my money on it. Okay, so what's the difference between assessed value and market value? This is quite interesting for some of you that is listening to this. These are my remarks, and take it or leave it. But anyway, so let's put it this way. An assessed value is mostly used by the county and the body that is there to tax your property, okay? So they assess the value of your home to be able to tax you for that home, okay? Your property taxes, okay? Typically, you do have, for that particular county, you have an appraiser, an actual professional appraiser, hopefully experienced, in other words, with years of experience to be able to have competency to, say how much your house is worth. So in general, the method of seeking an assessed value of your home is very much the same as the method of looking for market value, okay? In other words, they're looking for homes that are similar to yours, and they use those as comparison, and therefore they find value, assess value. Okay, well, even then, there's a human being behind, and what's going to happen in that case? He's going to select the one of his opinion of comps that he should use to value that home, to give the assessed value. Remember, the sole purpose of an assessed value is for taxation purposes, okay? To have a general idea of how much your house is worth as well, all right? But there's a human behind it. You would think, they want to assess your house at a higher value so they can collect more taxes. And it's true, that happens quite a bit. But even then, what is the big difference between market value? Why is market values usually more? Well, it really depends. It depends whether you are in a seller's market or in a buyer's market, okay? So in a seller's market, that means there are likely less inventory, okay? So the market value is really your ability and your intent to how much you're willing to pay for that house. So it may differ from assessed value. Remember, sales are, besides the comparable, besides the history, besides looking at the market itself, okay? The price is only as good as what you're willing to sell and this other person is willing to buy for, period. Okay, so in a seller's market, it is likely that the market value is going to be higher than your assessed value, okay? Very likely. And that is because the buyers are willing to pay more for that house because otherwise they're not buying any house, okay? And then on the buyer's market, the tendency is where buyers now have the ability to negotiate that price below asset value. That could also happen, guys. So, but either way, the assessed value, it is for intent of tax purposes, and the market value is related to a seller and a buyer and what they're willing to pay to have the house sold or purchased, right? I mean, pretty much. That's how it looks like. Okay, so I've seen it where the market values are somewhat between 15 to 20% higher than assessed value. So it's pretty good idea to sometimes look at them, but often they confuse the buyers. They look at the assessed values and they go to their realtors, but why are they asking so much more? Well, that's how much they're willing to sell their house for, period. Were there other homes? And that's the question, the right question there, though. Were there other homes that are similar to mine that also ignore that assessed value and sold for close to what this other seller is willing to sell for? So that's what you need to be looking at that point. Okay? Hopefully I answered your questions on that. If you have any more about it, please let me know either live or outside if you want to reach out to me. Anyways, another question here is, when is the best time to sell a home? Okay, that is also a very good question. We real estate agents run into very often. And although lately I've been getting a lot of more educated sellers out there, I've just noticed, this is a comment I got to tell you, people have access to a lot more information than they used to. So back in the days, you were likely working with somebody that didn't know anything about real estate or how to sell their house or when to sell their house. Nowadays, you do get buyers and sellers that already come fully researched with notes written down. They already know every question to ask you, and they already figured out which is the best time. Typically, I would say the better months, and this could be different, if we were outside of the United States, okay? But here in Houston, and I probably say the same to Florida in some extent, I would say the hottest months to sell a house is anywhere beginning of March, and that runs through all the way to maybe end of June. July starts slowing down quite a bit. The trend here is it is seasonal because it follows the school year in some extent. When you think about homes, you think about families, and you think about maybe kids, correct? So the trend is there because typically families want to fulfill a full term of school year with their kids, and then they like to do the transitional change of homes between the months of the summer months, where they are now in the new home before the new school zone starts, and you can register your kid for a full year of a new school, right? Whenever you change houses, you likely change the school districts. The zoning that your home will likely be different. I haven't seen anybody buying a home in the same community. They usually change communities unless they love that community and they're upgrade. I'm not going to say it's impossible. So, you got to love that community, right? And then you just want to upgrade, get a larger home because you're outgrowing your house. You don't want to let go of that community. So that could happen. But in most cases, you're changing communities and that community may be zoned to a different school. So therefore, you're not going to do this in a time where your kid is still, while they can, however, still go there. You are responsible to let that school know that you change addresses. Therefore, you don't qualify for your kid to go there anymore, right? If you want to do the right thing, I think a lot of people just forget about the buses and taking your kid yourself. They can finish that school year and then start a new one. That could happen too. But anyways, the question was, when is the best time to sell a home? Typically, beginning of March. It gets really, really hot in April. That's when folks are going to start looking into purchasing more of a home. So therefore, I recommend you put yours to sell then. Anyways, guys, this concludes my 1 hour episode of your live real estate talk show. I didn't have any participants today other than a friend that texted me that I was too close to the mic, and I appreciate that. Thank you. Like I said it before, I like all your criticisms. And it doesn't matter. It can be private like you've done, my friend, and it can also be live. I don't mind at all because I'm here to entertain. I'm here to be open and truthful to you and bring you all about real estate. Hopefully this episode was as interesting as everyone else is out there. I do want to remind you, if you just got in right now, remind you to go back and read this. Go back to the beginning of the book, of the video, forgive me, and check out my comments about this book. If you're just tuning in now, I talked about this book, okay? But anyways, the Miracle Morning and your live real estate talk show here every Wednesday at noon, trying to bring you all that matters about real estate, mortgage, and life per se. I would appreciate your comments and also your subscription. If you can tune in to my YouTube channel and subscribe, I'll be very much appreciative to your support. That's all it's all about at this point. And so that I can continue bringing you more. Well, I will anyways. Even if you don't like me, I'm going to continue doing this. I will. So, well, thank you so much. I guess next week, I'm hoping I'm going to have a surprise, a better show, something more of my caliber or someone else's caliber. It doesn't matter. I'm bringing you everything I possibly can. Okay, whether you like it or not. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for participating and staying tuned in. Your support means the world to me. Okay, I'm going to say goodbye now. Thank you. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.